But joining us from Rising Spear is Bob Davis and Matthew Quigley, maybe the team behind the team behind the team. But gentlemen, we appreciate you being here with us. Huge weekend for recruiting, huge weekend for Florida State football, Bob. But how big of a weekend is this for you guys in the NIL world and specifically over at Rising Spear?
Well, this is a huge week for us. But first, Aslan, thank you and for Corey for having us. We appreciate it. Anything we can share with the Nole Nation, we want to do that. And I need to thank the Nole Nation for being patient with us. I know there's been people that have been real antsy about what's Rising Spear doing. This week, you're going to see what we've been doing, and it's going to hit the media with a huge splash, starting with this podcast. And we'll get through some of the stuff we're doing this week. But a big weekend. We've got the advisory board members, the Derek Brooks, and Charlie Ward's involved. We got everybody involved. We're all hands on deck this week.
Yeah, Matthew, I wanted to ask you, this is such a brand new world for all of us, because for years we've been told that you can't pay the players. The players don't deserve the scholarship is what matters, and the books and everything. Well, now the reality is here, and you can, and it's happening all over the country. I guess I wanted to ask you, what was your motivation for getting involved with Rising Spear? What do you think your goal is when it comes to Rising Spear?
Look, our goal, number one, our goal is to get Florida State back where it belongs, right? 14 years, top four finishes in college football, and top 5 recruiting classes. That's where Rising Spear is going to help out Norvell and staff. Now, as far as my motivation, right, it's to get Florida State better day by day here. We at Rising Spear, we have been really getting after at least the last 3 months, preparing for this week. This spring game week is going to be massive. We need all our Noles to go to risingspear.com, donate what they can. And, Bob's going to go into a little bit more on our different funds and in your options. But this is just an exciting time, guys. We got to get Florida State back to that top 5 level.
This week, you guys keep talking about how big it is. Obviously, the website goes live Monday morning. And I'm sure you'll be paying attention to that and seeing what kind of money and donations come in immediately. What else is happening this week that people should be looking out for?
100% of our donations that come in through the website are going to the student athletes. No other NIL collective in the country is doing that, right? And Bob and Alan, talk about the unconquered spirit, right? They have literally ponied up to make sure that our student athletes are 100% covered, right? We are not taking a dime from them. It is an incredible thing that Bob and Alan have done.
We have signed a contract with a national collective. We're the first NIL to do that, I believe. And what it's going to do is it will be a website available to every student athlete that's affiliated with Rising Spear. They can go online and they will find hundreds of companies throughout the country, and a lot that will be just Tallahassee specific. People that have said, we're interested in doing something with student athletes. Here's what we want to do. We're looking for the right person. Student athlete, tell us why it should be you. And they can communicate on the web back and forth and negotiate a contract. It's a subscription-based model, but Alan and I, as I told you early on, Corey, Allen and I don't want to take money for this away from student athletes. So all of the overhead costs affiliated with Rising Spear are being absorbed by Allen and I. Every penny that is raised will go to student athletes. And, that's certainly unique in the industry because everybody got into this business to make some money, a new opportunity. Some people are charging as much as 30% on a contract. Our student athletes will get every penny and the companies won't have to pay any fees for that. So this collective will be announced officially very soon. But it's just going to be incredible. When you see the website, you literally can go on and there may be a General Electric that's looking for somebody to do some stuff in Central Florida. And it has all the players on there that have signed up. It gives all their metrics, how many social media followers they have, what their interaction ratios are. Everything's on there. So the student athletes know what the companies are looking for, and the companies know who they're talking to, and if it's really somebody that can really work magic with their products. So it's that's part of everything coming out this week. Matt, why don't you go through the whole week of what's going on?
I mean, a massive media blitz, right? We have a bunch of social media posts that are going to be coming from former players, current players that we have that are actually rising spear, right? Signed contract athletes. We're doing this podcast. We're going to be doing the Jeff Cameron show. And then for this weekend, we have an incredible member benefit, which really nobody else in the country is doing. And once again, it's thanks to our board. But so Friday night, we're going to be doing a rooftop experience, which is across from Madison 51 in College Town for our larger donors, right? This is a $500 a month and up donor, right? And then the same thing on Saturday at the game, we have, thanks to our donors, we have access to a box suite, and they will be invited into the box.
Bob, what are, I know we talked, I think it was back before signing day. It was a while ago. It was 3 or 4 months ago about the plan and what Rising Spear was and was going to be. What are some of the, for people that want to give money, what are some of the avenues they can do it? Number one, I assume the website will be the main way, but also what do they get to pick who it goes to, what sport it goes to? Are there ways and avenues for that to happen?
Yeah, Corey, there are. First of all, we're different than most every other NIL organization. As we talked before, we have Rising Spirit Gold and Rising Spirit Garnet. Gold is the typical NIL. The student athletes get endorsement deals. They get social media postings. They get appearance fees. There's a contract between a company and a student athlete to do something. People can give to that. They can say, I want to get involved in Rising Spirit Gold and I want it to be for football. They will be able to specify that on the website. If they want to give it to one of the girls' teams, I mean, anything that they want to do with that money, they can designate it and restrict it. Now, the other side is where other organizations don't have, and that's Rising Spirit Garnet. And that's going to be, the process is in the works, a 501c nonprofit organization. People can give to that, get a tax deduction. They can also restrict it to a sport. But what we do with that, you've seen it. You all have covered. We've sent 7 or 8 athletes at a time out to the Boys and Girls Clubs to play with the kids, to talk to them about drugs, to how important school is and making the right decisions and standing up to their peers about doing what's right. And we had the cheerleaders out, 3 cheerleaders go out and work with the girls at the Boys and Girls Clubs. And, that's giving back to the community. We're serving the underserved population. I think I told you then, Corey, it's a 3-way win. The donor, the person that gives the money to Rising Spirit gets a tax deduction. The student athletes get some compensation for getting out and doing things, but the community wins because we've got those kids out there helping nonprofit organizations with fundraising projects or just working with the kids. And that's, nobody else is doing that. It's unique.
Matthew, I think, speaking for myself, I can probably speak for you and Bob as well. I know Corey wanted to come to Florida State, but he wanted to diversify his educational background. We all fell in love with Tallahassee and the campus because of our friendships, the memories we made, just the social life, the entire college experience, what we fell in love with. And there's such a huge part of college fandom is that sort of shared experience. And for so many people to hear about NIL and money being the motivation, we kind of may forget that what we all are doing now is because we're getting paid to do these things. So does this future need to be embraced by those that might think that, we can perform the old way and we can rely on our laurels and everything will be done for the love of the sport and for the love of the institution?
Yeah. Unfortunately, that way of thinking is not going to get you a national title. Right. And I think this is where Bob and Alan, who are co-founders, really were able to kind of thread the needle for the perfect kind of solution to this problem, right? So a person that does not want to pay or does not want to think that they're paying a player right, can donate to our Rising Spear Garnet side. And that is literally a charitable donation, right? You want to think, like Bob had a great analogy the other day that our Rising Spear Garnet side, that's almost like the United Way of NIL funds, right? We're partnering with the Boys and Girls Club, like he mentioned, but we're also going to be partnering with the Special Olympics, with Best Buddies. And we're going to be putting on clinics, right, where our players can come and really work with this underprivileged youth in the areas, right? I mean, it's a phenomenal thing. And then on the other side, you have the gold, right? The gold membership side, the gold standard club, basically. And on that side, that's for someone that has, a multi-million-dollar company and they want to invest some marketing dollars into that, or, a real estate business that wants to just donate to Florida State and have somebody make an Instagram post or a social media post for their real estate business. So I really think that at Rising Spear, we've kind of thread that perfect needle for people that are kind of set in their old ways and don't realize how quickly that the college football landscape has changed.
You guys keep talking about how important money is. I'm pretty sure Jimbo Fisher said that none of those recruits got a dime. Like that was all just they love College Station. So I don't know what you guys are talking about. I mean, he just signed the greatest class in history, but it's all because they love that cow college out in Texas. Wouldn't you want to live in College Station? And I was going to say this, Bob, and this is a legitimate question. It's going to sound as a joke, but I don't know if you saw. I don't know. Number one, I guess I want to ask how it works with recruits. And I know I asked you this back in December too. With recruits, is it I guess I don't even know how to phrase it. How does it work with recruits? Or can you guys be in contact with recruits ahead of signing day?
Oh, we most certainly can, Corey, and we are. I in particular talk to a lot of parents, get to know them. I get to explain gold and garnet and hear the stories that they've been told by other schools. And in Florida, the rule is the university can't direct compensation to a student athlete, can't even talk about that. And we cannot make a offer to a student athlete pay for play. We cannot say, you've got to come to Florida State, you've got to make the team. So we don't offer contracts to student athletes before they come to Florida State. We have everything in place. So once they're here, they've signed their paperwork and they're a student. We've got a deal for them, and they vary. I mean, we've got some deals that have gone into the 6-digit number. We've got some that have been show up for a real estate open house for $200. Just all kinds of things all over the board. But yes, we can talk to them, and we hear stories about what they're being offered by other schools, and it's scary. As you saw, one of the recruits that we lost on National Signing Day, we had a deal put together for him and had tried to get a hold of him. We had discussions with him prior to that regularly, and come 3 days before National Signing Day, we have this good energy drink deal. We want to let him know that we have a deal, can't give him the details, and he won't return our phone calls the last couple of days before National Signing Day. So, I mean, we knew something was up there, and, our deal wasn't $1.5 million or whatever his ended up being. So people who don't like NIL, and I'm one of them, I don't like it, but it's something we've got to do to stay competitive in this environment.
Well, I was going to say Fred Taylor talked about the old running back from, well, he's not that old. He's younger than me, but the running back from Florida from the 90s talked about how he took $50,000 from Georgia during his recruitment and still went to Florida. But that can't happen here, right? Like there's no contracts binding with these kids unless they step foot in Tallahassee, correct?
Well, that's the case for us. But you heard about the kid out in California that is in 9th grade, 10th grader, 11th grader, that they've offered him an $8 million deal to go to an unnamed school. And he's going to get $350,000 before he ever leaves high school. So somebody's betting or has got some kind of assurances that the kid's going where he's getting the money from, if that's a true story. I mean, a lot of these stories, you wonder how valid they are because they're not verifiable.
It's funny, Corey. I was actually 3 days ago, I was talking to Charlie Ward about this, right? And he wanted to make sure at Rising Spear that we are not going to be paying current high school athletes, because he does not believe that's the way that you go about it. And I completely agree, right? At Florida State, that's not how we're going to do it. But once you step foot on campus, we're going to explain our relationship, right, during the recruitment process. We're going to say that we're here for you once you step foot on campus. But until then, like, we are not going to be cutting you a check or a bag of cash. Like, that's not going to happen at FSU. Like, we're not going to play that game.
So it's like an agent in a way, with a prospective client. Like, if you choose me after your eligibility is up, this is what we could do for you. But until then, you're not getting a dime from me. I mean, I know agents have guys that maybe shove money kids' ways, but you know what I'm saying. Like, that's the purpose of it, is we're not giving you money until you step foot on campus.
That's true. I mean, I have talked to some agents that have said, we might be able to do some deals with student athletes at Florida State with the hopes of when they sign their contract, they'll remember what we did for them in college. Right. But no, they're not. There's no, the day they leave FSU, all NIL contracts are gone.
Right.
So this all happens this week, the Garnet and Gold game, not just your daddy's exhibition, everybody. It's your time to pony up and help out the program to the best of your ability. And there's so many options, and those will all be available again over at the website, risingspear.com.
One more thing. Everybody, risingspear.com. We are at Rising Spear NIL on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Give us a follow, interact with us. Like Bob touched on earlier, we hired Clayton Campbell at K-Camp, who used to work with the football office. We hired him to be our social media manager and to create some content for us. And Gene and Warchant, Aslan, Corey, Ira, Jeff, Tom, I can't thank you all enough for the opportunity to speak about Rising Spear. We need Nole Nation to support, guys. Every little bit counts. Please donate. Tax deductible. Let's get it.